Jesus. I go to look at the requests to join the world. There's a lot of you wanting in. For anybody who read the staff chat, I'm only going to take a few. We'll get started proper in a second. We're doing a Poicast where I actually have notes prepared. Wow, it's like we went back in time. I did ask 2 people if they would be able to join, but I don't see them on the list. So for those who don't get in, I might accept you later on down the podcast, but not for the first 30 minutes to an hour. But yeah, so if you did request and I didn't accept, just wait a little bit and I'll probably accept it then. That said, I know my girlfriend's running around somewhere. Oh, am I on the wrong mic? Whoopsie. I set Discord to the proper settings earlier, but I had to restart my VR. So hopefully you can hear me now. I was saying that if you did send a request and I didn't accept it, wait until later and I'll probably accept it. I'm only going to let a few people in. And then my girlfriend's somewhere over there. But yeah. Hi, darling. Let's see. That monitor there, that monitor there. If the stream's lagging, I'm sorry. I don't know why it is. VR chat lately just hasn't been very stable for me. As for requested staff, I did ask for Dream and Crispy, but I don't know if either of them are going to get on or not. It's okay if they don't. Let's see. Twitch looks good. I think my audio's good on there. Discord looks good. Think my audio's good on there. Hi, darling. You're in the floor or table. But yeah, as for things to talk about, if you looked at the Twitch title, it's pretty telling of the topics I'm going to bring up. But yeah. What are you swapping into? Oh, you're a frog now. Understandable. But yeah, if the requested staff don't join in, that's fine. I just wanted some insight on some broader topics that I might not be too aware of in the current time, as certain things I'm definitely not in the know of. Just smaller stuff. Like, for instance, what are some of the bigger complaints that we've had lately? Or, well, things of interest, problems, or good things. I think there's a child in my house. Oh god. I heard a weird noise. I'm scared. But yeah, we're going to talk about other VR platforms, but mainly one. Well, I don't know what she's doing, but you keep doing your thing, darling. But welcome to here. Hi, everyone. We got ourselves a different kind of podcast today. And you know what? Looking in the camera and not seeing my mouth moving is bothering me. So I'm sorry to anyone who joins. But seeing myself in the camera and it's just fucking, like, staring, that's fine. But, like, so weird. Anyway, so we're not going to talk about Meta and their VR. That is above my pay grade. Not going to try to get into that with Meta. But their platform definitely is interesting in its own right, don't get me wrong. But we're not here to talk about Metaverse in the sense of Meta's VR. That's a topic that I've generally avoided because, honestly, it's not a platform for us. And if it's not a platform for us, then I'm not too interested in it. As for those who keep requesting, I'll let you in, Agent. Just don't be too big, because I know your avatar's big. What the fuck did you turn into? You're a squirrel. But yeah, when it comes to the general topics, we're going to mainly be discussing 2 platforms, because the other 2 aren't going to be largely talked about. We'll just go off on some comparisons. That's all. But thanks everybody for joining. We're going to have ourselves a different kind of podcast today. I want to talk about briefly CVR, Neos, VR chat, and then we'll talk about another platform. So, while saying that, I think Agent just got in. I think the squirrel is trying to eat my hair, and there are a fair number of Poyos in here. So, let's talk about some stuff. Hi, Agent. You are very fucking big. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm going to change that. I didn't hear the memo that you said that you're only letting few people in, so sorry about the
To be fair, I didn't say it that long ago. When it comes to information in that regard, or rather in regards to the Poicast, I tend to don't say anything until last second. You become polizia.
Polizia. Anyway.
But yeah, oh, I'm off center. It looks so weird. Thank God for the microphone. So we got about what? 14 in the Discord, some in Twitch. Let's talk about stuff. Hi, Jarno. Hi, Agent. Hi, darling.
Hello.
As for topics, I brought that up a minute ago. Let me bring up some notes. Which we haven't had prepared notes or like... Normally we ad-lib everything. So... anyway. Heyo, Poyos. So normally, like I said, we ad-lib pretty much everything. Very little preparing and... I mean, it's more fun to do it that way. If we have more serious topics, sure, we'll do some more prep work. But it's pretty fun to have a janky good time on this over proper news. But there is different platform for that. So, in regard to the platform we're going to talk about, this is kind of funny as fuck. Because whenever I looked it up, it would take me to this. And it took me like 3 tries, and I was finally like, fuck this, I'm putting VR at the end of it. And finally, I no longer got search results for Hot Wheels Massive Loop Mayhem track set. I'm sitting over here like, that's not a VR game, that's Hot Wheels. So that was a fucking funny meme for a whole 3 seconds. But we're gonna talk about Massive Loop. Now, what I have prepared on my notes is pretty damn big, so don't expect me to go through all of it. I don't want this podcast to take forever. While saying that, we'll talk about it and talk about our community and some other stuff. But yeah, for anyone who could get the name out of that fucking track set, I'm not kidding when I said it kept popping up when I typed the name in. All I was getting was Hot Wheels for a few minutes. That was too funny to me.
Nice.
Yeah, but... but yeah. When it comes to the other platforms, we're going to briefly talk about CVR, Neos, and VR chat will be a bigger comparison. Crispy's going to come in. But we're going to talk about Massive Loop. It's a... I won't say new VR platform, as it's been around for seemingly over a year. Longer than that if they're what the fuck's it's called? Fucking is anything accurate? What's the thing that we put our resumes on? LinkedIn. I never used LinkedIn. The one time I used it fucking was like a week ago or something. So yeah, they've been around since I think 2018 it was on their thing, but the game itself I haven't seen much from it except for a year back and forward. When it comes to the project itself, the platform itself, I got a whole fucking list of things, and we're gonna go through it, but I also kind of want to show, you see what I mean? Oh my god, Lethem. You get the Hot Wheels toy car track set Massive Loop Mayhem ad too. That's awesome. Wee. But before we go off on everything, I'll talk about the Hapu Foundation first, and then we'll go on. But I want to show you guys the video, and then I'll do a brief explanation. Now, to be fair, there was absolutely no incentive for me to do any of this digging or promoting it in any way, shape, or form. But curiosity killed the cat, and I'm interested, so That said, let me pull up the video. Oh, trying to hand me ice cream? Nom nom. Here you go. Let me pull up the video real quick, and we'll watch their trailer, if you will. That's not that's an anime. Thank you, Google. That is not what I want. Window change.
If you're wondering why we're talking about this, our mission statement specifically tells us that we're going to, take over all virtual life, so...
This is technically true, which was a topic that I have written way the fuck down on the list.
I just remembered it. Hold on!
Let me see if I can pull up, that's my Discord. I don't know what this one is. Still don't know what's this one? That's my Discord. Oh, good lord. So anyway, here's the video. I think I've got it set up right for both Twitch and Discord. Anyway, you should be good. Maybe not actually, I lied. There we go. Okay, audio's good, Let's turn that off so you don't see my trackers and my base stations just chilling there on the screen. But, yeah, let's look at Massive Loop's trailer. Their open alpha.
Thing is, we don't have any audio.
No? Discord audio is not working?
Nope, not picking it up.
I can hear the stream.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Apparently it's working for everyone but you.
Oh yeah! Sorry. I saw that index. Oh, open alpha. Okay.
Anyway.
We can actually check that out.
Yeah, you can go look at it right now, to be entirely fair. Let me swap everything back real quick. And we'll talk about it a little bit, and why we're talking about it in the first place. I think that's good. That's not VR chat. Apologies. There y'all go.
These are my glasses.
Those aren't your glasses. So, I think we got that. Crispy, did you request? I see you're in the chat. Excuse me. Damn, that monster strawberry is good. But yeah, so...
Disgusting.
Don't be like that. No. So that was the alpha trailer for Massive Loop. Why are we talking about it in the first place? One of their staff members messaged me like a week or two ago, and I forgot what the account name was, but I already had done all of this, digging. So I finally joined the Discord, and I'm like, that's the name that messaged me. Because lately I've had a shitload of people in my DMs, so I'm like, fuck. Why isn't it just under, like, Massive Loop or something? So I felt really bad that I didn't get back to them. But this video, I guess, is a remedy for that, in a sense. We're going to talk about it, see what the deal is, features, things that I'm hopeful for, concerns, compare a little bit, even though I can't really say it's fair to compare in a lot of ways. But before we do that, let me make sure all the streams are back up. I think Discord looks fine. This is true, Titan, which is something I'll bring up. That's true as well. For anyone who doesn't see what he's saying, I'll bring it up in a minute. Twitch looks good. I think everything's good. Whenever I swap like that from video to video, I just breaks my shit. So anyway, there was their alpha trailer. Now, overall from that trailer, you don't get too much from it. You don't see too, if you were to compare it to another VR platform, well, trailer-wise, they're all very comparable in terms of gameplay, assets used, and, well, design. In general, a lot of them tend to be very similar. Now, where this project differs, we'll get into detail, but I was pretty curious about one of their main aspects. Now, I have it written down a lot lower, so we'll get to it. But overall, as a game, right now, Alpha feels like a pretty good spot for it. We'll go into the features and all of that in a minute, but it definitely has my curiosity and interest. Considering I didn't give this much attention to CVR, I think it'll be something of interest. Not just for me, but for others. But we'll talk about the upsides and downsides for the community being there in any sense, referring to us projecting a community over there. We'll talk about its size, their goals, and the comparisons. So let me bring up some notes. God, I even have it written down in my notes. Hot Wheels Massive Loop Mayhem track set. Why did I write that down in my notes? I guess I was going to make a joke out of it, but when I started seeing other people getting the same thing posted, I'm like, fuck. I almost want to buy a Hot Wheels set just for the meme and send it to those guys. That'd be too funny. Anyway, I still don't know if Crispy's hopping on or not. Sorry if you sent me a message. Streaming on both Discord and Twitch definitely lags the shit out of me, so swapping to Discord might fuck my shit and crash me. So I'm doing it very sparingly. But
Crispy said he will be joining you in a second.
alright, well, let's talk about us for a minute, as this is kind of intended both as a message to our community and to them, as a show of, hey, this is what I think, could be better, or a direction that might be good, maybe some areas where others fall short and that they could do to improve upon. Anyway, there's a lot listed, but about us, hi, my name's Blaze Creek, this dumbass right here. I founded the Hapu Foundation and our other janky little communities. Don't be like that. I see you, you little bastard. Anyway, the objective of the Hapu Foundation and our associated communities is the complete conversion and omni-side of, well, initially VR chat, but virtual reality as a whole, considering at times we have branched out to other platforms. But we're Hapu Raiders, role players, gamers, model and avatar creators, artists, whether it's something fucking chill and mundane, like a game night, some kind of role play situation with the cops just being janky. Whatever it may be, the Hapus always find something to fill their little heart's content. Little fucking janky bastards going around arresting people. I see you. I see you. But yeah. We do a lot of fun stuff. Oh god. Like, for instance, police roleplay. In our own way, of course. Abyssal police roleplay is certainly unique in a few ways. God. I can't believe you just did that. Bruh. Anyway, so this all started because I wanted somewhere where everyone and anywhere, no matter race, religion, or otherwise, could hang out, play games, make friends. I always wanted more people to experience the culture I got kidnapped into. Fuck, I don't even know how many years ago it would have been now. But somewhere I could share my experiences with Hapus, the raids in our janky culture. Hapu rating is what I missed the most before I made the community. And my love for the concept, the people I'd become friends with, it all ultimately culminated into this little fucking midget-filled community. I love all you janky little bastards, even though the majority of you are smaller than... my kneecap is up here, and half of you guys don't even make it up to my kneecap. This is a bad example. Oh wait, no. You're exactly at my kneecap. This is a great example. You guys are so small. Anyway, where was I? Oh god, what I have written down is definitely a little vulgar. I don't know about that one.
Oh,
The last portion I wrote down for this part is kind of fucked, but it's pretty accurate for the Hapus. So ultimately everything culminated into this awesome midget-filled chaotic ball of jank that is no stranger to kneecaps, kidnappings, and mass shankings. Now, the spoon shouldn't be used as a shank, but these little demonic bastards have a tendency to eat everything and steal kneecaps. But yeah, we do a lot of random bullshit and a lot of fun stuff. It's always a good time with the Hapus. Oh, did I see a Crispy? I did. I did ask if Dream wanted to come along. It's okay if he doesn't, but hopefully Crispy gets in and he can talk about some stuff that I don't know. But yeah, so ultimately the Hapu Foundation is a place that I wanted anyone and everyone to be able to come, hang out, experience what I experienced years and years ago. 2017, 2018 was a weird time to be alive. But the Hapu Foundation provides a place of gathering and entertainment for all Hapus and those interested in Hapu, and a hell of a lot more. And, you know, there's a lot of people who choose to dedicate their time to other Hapus, whether that's in terms of creation or activities. I mean, honestly, can't thank our staff and community enough. We have ourselves one of the I wanted to say most unique, then I look over and he's got a fucking bucket on his head. I'm sorry. But we definitely made one of the strangest, most unique, and awesome communities around. And I can definitely say I'm happy with our janky little bastards, including that one who's behind the camera. Hi, Crispy.
Hello. Hi, Blaze, Agent, and Fair. Hello.
Hello.
I feel like I'm going to be too tall. I'm going to have to become microchipped, aren't I?
I think you're just a little taller than my avatar.
I think you're fine.
Well, now that
Just
Crispy's
looking at the
here,
average size there.
since we got interrupted a few times, you're fucking tiny.
Hello.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, same.
microchipped.
Fun size.
Anti-service. Yeah, but I don't have a bucket.
Good
Lend me your
lord.
bucket. Give me your bucket.
Hi.
Okay, hold on.
Hi, Blaze. Hello. What did I miss? I would have been here 5 minutes ago, but somebody random joined while I was getting all my tech set up and everything. I'm like, "Well, who are you? What?" And then I'm all in a fluster going, hang on, I've got to sort out my noise. Who are you? How did you get here? And then they called me a boomer because I can't work my menu. And it's like, you've thrown me completely. I was already hyper. What did I miss?
Not much. We watched
an ice
the
cream. Thank you.
alpha trailer for Massive Loop. I
Heard that.
briefly went over the foundation, but we had so many pauses I felt like I might need to go over it in a short sense. But I got a lot of things written to talk about in terms of this platform that we're going to talk about. My brain is frozen.
Okay.
I'm looking at you holding an ice
basically my
cream that's the
role-
size of your
Yeah.
body.
So basically, my role here is to try and work out what it is you're going to say, try to sound and act intelligent, and be on my best behaviour.
I didn't ask for an interpreter, but I'll take one.
No, I didn't mean interpret. I mean, I just thought. No.
Fair. I
Not
do have a
say so.
tendency to go off on
You've grown.
tangents and otherwise, and he has grown.
No, me too.
But
So I am.
Yeah, a fucking
figure this out.
TLDR of what I said earlier about the foundation and otherwise. Well, we're a place where anyone and everyone can come, experience our Hapu raids, be a Hapu. You can come hang out, make friends. Nothing's obligated. We're always just here in case anyone wants to pop in, play a game, say hi, attend an activity, or maybe not. We do a lot of fun things, role play, a whole lot of different role play, but mainly Hapu raids. That's a cursed way to say it is it's our bread and butter. But after looking into where the company's located, my home state of all places, it's been stuck in my mind like the most cheesy fucking jokes and quotes that I could think of. Anyway, going a little off topic, we do a lot of fun stuff, but mostly events, hanging out, Hapu roleplay, police roleplay. We do whatever our hearts find of interest and, well, fucking fill our hearts a little content. Literally, you guys are so tiny. Fuck.
If I could flip you off, I would.
Thank you. I can flip you off though.
Bite that finger off.
But yeah, so that's us. Now, I don't need to go through that, I don't think. But I had actually thought about updating our information section with some of what I have written down, as it's a very good explanation of how things came to be and how, why, and are. It's pretty damn long, so I don't think I'm going to go over it in this podcast, as what I already have to talk about is going to be a shit ton. And yes, I see your Hapu 9000, or whatever the fuck that curse thing was called. Excuse me, that strawberry monster's good. But
Is that the name?
as something that did get asked, which I do have a pretty good answer for on top of everything else. When we founded, we didn't have any traditional goals or milestones for the community. We've always been about having fun and sharing our culture and the Hapu experience with others. And as we learned and grew, my lips became numb. We slowly we slowly made goals. I started having a dream for the Hapus, and our goals started becoming a reality. One of the most important primary goals of the Hapu Foundation is the complete and total conversion of all virtual life, expanding our abyss with the sublimation of virtual citizens, creations, and cultures. Oh, God. The rest of what I have written here doesn't apply because that community's not announced and won't be announced for another year. I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about. But as is, we've got a lot of role play. We've got a lot of role plays planned. And in the end, we're definitely having a fun time over here. Now, when it comes to the platform we're going to talk about, Massive Loop is relatively unknown, and I say that for a few reasons. This podcast, I wanted to dig into the company a little bit, the stats around the platform or game, whichever you want to call it, and, well, see what it's about, see what features it has, what drives the platform and company behind it, along with something of interest that is directly associated with the company, which I think Crispy might have saw it, but involves robotics, which I found pretty interesting. Their videos were rather cool. But anyway, let's see what I got.
That stood out to me when I checked into them. Yeah, the people in there. One of the things they do, they kit you out with the VR stuff, and then they were operating a robot or something in the next room that was mimicking your move. And I guess obviously in that case it was just in the next room, but obviously the power of the internet, it could be something anywhere in the world. And I liked that. I thought that was quite innovative. So that's something that this company is exploring.
I thought that was really fucking cool too. That was one of the reasons I actually looked into it more. Because, like,
That's pretty damn cool indeed.
it wouldn't be the first time that
yes.
we've been contacted by a VR developer, and our experience with them in the past has been lackluster, but I wanted to give this one a chance and talk about it, explore it. And some of that, of course, has to do with the fact that they're from my home state, which normally I'm not too big about, but what they're doing is pretty fucking cool. And I like the idea that it's happening from the state that I was born. And from what I've seen, it looks pretty damn cool. So, that was something that I found mildly interesting. Rarely do I see developers from, well, Oklahoma. So that was pretty cool. But as for their projects, their robotics shit was super fucking cool to look at. That was definitely a major interest for me. Seeing the VR gear and the fucking that was cool. I like the idea of virtual reality mixed with robots. That's fucking cool surface level, but on a practical level, god damn, the things that you could do, that's too cool. But we're not here to talk about the robotics part of their organization, to be fair. That could be its own thing. But the VR aspects of it are very cool. I'm not sure how all of it works, but the videos I saw were really interesting. Now, let's see. I have a few things here to talk about in regards to concerns, worries, but that's a little further down the list. And one of the reasons why I have it titled, I think I put it as other platforms, but my Streamlabs doesn't like to save, so we're going to briefly talk about other platforms, but only as brief comparisons and not dragging on them, as it's not fair. They're all very unique in their own right. They all have their own successes and shortcomings. So we're not here to shit on anyone. We're just going to talk about them all. So when it comes to Massive Loop, their website and all of their information I'll post in Hunting Grounds, just as I did for CVR and VR Chat. So any relevant information pertaining to the platform itself, Massive Loop, or the company behind it, that'll all be up in the channel, same with VR Chat and CVR. So if you're interested in the more, well, cohesive details of the project, you'll be able to see it for yourself pretty easily. Now, before we go off, they do have social medias, everything pretty much. So their YouTube's the most interesting. That said, Massive Loop is an immersive metaverse platform for virtual reality and desktop. A growing network of virtual worlds and communities for you to join, explore, or even create with others. Yes, I am reading off of their website. Massive Loop is a great place for you to offer your services, make friends, hang out at clubs, or host events. Now, they don't consider it their platform being a game, but rather a new digital extension of the real world. Now, that's, Dream and Lang. Yeah, you two can come in here, considering Crispy and Lang are in charge of our police community. Makes sense. Then I did ask for Dream. I'm sorry, I'm not accepting past that. I keep seeing requests come up. I will accept others later on, but not right now. I don't need 9 or 10 people in here. No offense.
Chaos.
Straight up. But yeah, Massive Loop is very similar to existing platforms, just in a very alpha state, which is another thing that really piqued my curiosity, it being so early in its development. Now, it might have been around for a little while in some regards, but ultimately its community and user base, well, we'll get onto that a little bit later. But the way that Massive Loop is organized, also, which way are you? Hi, Lang.
Hey Blaze, hey everybody.
Hello, Dream.
Hello.
But
Hello.
the main thing about Massive Loop that took my attention was how their servers work, how the game or platform actually functions. I found that to be really fucking cool and interesting. So, Massive Loop is organized into servers, worlds, and avatars. Now, servers are collections of worlds and avatars with their own rules. So, as they state very clearly, which is something that I agree with to an extreme, like this is one thing that I've been wanting from other VR companies to do and to focus on, not only their user base and their communities, but I mean, as they say, servers are ideal for companies, groups, and power users that wish to deliver high quality experiences to their communities or audiences. Your own server gives you control over which avatars are approved, member acceptance, creator restrictions, I almost said egg, age restrictions, and more. The way I have it highlighted, it's very bold, and I misread it as egg at first, so I'm like, fuck, egg.
Restricting eggs.
But that's something that I've been wanting from other platforms for a while now, is exactly what I just said. The game or platform being organized into servers, worlds, and avatars, we could have our own server with our own limitations, our own worlds. It reminds me almost of it's kind of funny to say. The way it's structured to me almost kind of reminds me of a forum, which it's not. It's not comparable. It's not the same, but the way it's laid out just makes me think of a forum. You can select your different servers or your different topics. I don't know why that comparison comes to mind, but it's a really cool idea. And having these servers to yourself that you can moderate to whatever degree you want, that leaves a lot of room for companies, groups that host certain experiences. It's giving, well, companies, creators, and groups a very interesting and unique tool, which is something I've been asking for and wanting for a long time from existing platforms. Which, if I'm going to be entirely fair, that feature was the main hook for me to talk about it or to bring it up in general, as that has insane fucking potential in my mind. Especially if you're catering towards companies in that regard or groups in that regard, I could definitely see more experiences being made, not just games, maybe even shops, which is something I detest, to be fair. But having those features, having those abilities, I think that's pretty important for growth and for the future. Even if I'm not a fan of potential monetary incentives, well, I like the ideas that they have laid out. And on paper, I really like what they have laid out. But I don't know how it works in reality or how it's going to scale. But the idea of it's great. It's a great idea. I absolutely love their idea for servers, worlds, and avatars. It's perfect for us in the sense of hosting events or otherwise. It does restrict us on some of our activities, potentially speaking. But overall, it definitely adds a lot, both to the experience and potential for more. So that made me pretty excited to see. I would love to see companies, small or big, have some form of presence, whether that's making an experience like a game or otherwise. I'm less supportive of monetary aspects from bigger companies, of course, but I could see it being a way for smaller creators or otherwise to have shops, like they said. I think features like that are really cool, and it's something that the platform we're using right now has been testing with, well, VCAT and otherwise. While saying that, that's just one of the features that I found really interesting. But to me, that's a pretty big deal. While saying that, does anybody have any thoughts about that? About worlds being, or not worlds, about servers having their own restrictions, worlds. You can make your own little domain, if you will. Thoughts?
Well, I only saw Titan really throw in a comment that it could be a double-edged sword, that it could both incite growth or stifle it.
So that's something that I'll bring up a little later because I do have statistics brought up. Um, there's a good amount of statistical comparisons to be made. And I'm not saying with other platforms, but with us, which poses a lot of problems, or more so questions, not problems. But Titan is
Mhm.
very correct. Very, very
The
correct.
idea of buying or having your own server is an interesting one. As you say, a different company could have their own server, which is their own part of this platform. And
Yep.
then going further, wider in the whole virtual reality side of things, or just being able to buy real estate in virtual environments, that's a thing, isn't it?
That
Where
is.
people will now actually spend big money on buying a plot of virtual
I
land
remember when that
somewhere.
was a thing.
Is that?
Second
It
Life
still
is
is
still
kind of a
really big
thing.
on that.
Yeah, SL still
Yeah,
does that.
and now does that mean that a server is it? But like having your own server in here is the equivalent of having your own spot of real estate in VR. I don't know.
Basically.
It's an
But
interesting comparison.
Yeah.
it also kind of removes the sense of community because everything is basically its own isolated thing at some point.
To a degree, I
Yeah.
feel like that builds up. The only problem, well, I can't say only problem. It definitely would strengthen certain communities and certain projects, but if it restricts globally, then that's a bigger problem. But I don't think very large groups are going to have major restrictions on who's able to join the group or the instances. I feel like that'll be on a much smaller scale. But I could see it in a sense, kind of like virtual real estate, but not really. I could see it as a comparison for sure. As it stands, I think they only have 3 groups or 3 servers, and one of them is their main, which is pretty interesting to think about. And the other existing ones are a curiosity too. As for how their server system works, we'll go into that a little later. But I do like the idea of, hey, I want to buy a server. Okay, everything in this little world, or at least a lot of it, I can customize and make my own. I could make my own experiences, avatars specifically for that realm. There's a lot of really cool ideas for it and a lot of cool potential for both communities, users, and companies. That's something that I found really cool about it. And the company aspect of it is really good for growth in the sense of in the future, they're going to need some kind of income, not just series fundings or otherwise. And having those tools being developed now instead of later on definitely helps them get the foot in the door. Oh, there's still a small child running around my house. I think I just heard him scream, "Somebody gave me fire!" Anyway. My cousin's over. I just
Somebody
hear him
give them a
randomly
fire
screaming.
extinguisher.
Straight up. I just hear a random scream from across the house.
It's always good to practice arson at a young age.
Yeah, definitely. You need to learn to be responsible with it.
That'll put fire out again as well.
That's true. But let's see. But yeah, that idea is something that I've been wanting from existing platforms and I've been asking for a while, and that made me really interested. But that's just one of the things to talk about. Now, while saying that, this game is still very much an alpha game or platform, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, something that bothers me and worries me about going toward that direction is Second Life. Second Life has a lot of good, but it has a shitload of bad. And I hope the
Don't start with me
monetary...
on Second Life.
Well, I hope the monetary situation doesn't come anywhere near that game's... I really like the idea of having some form of currency in game, some way to pay creators or let creators sell their stuff, just not to the degree of SL, as I see SL being a you can look at it. Don't really. You just look at it and look at the bad and be like, don't do this. Monetarily, involving monetary aspects into your platform, in my opinion, is a good idea for certain things. But if it's allowed to grow to the extent of SL, I feel like that would be detrimental, not only down the line, but overall degrade the quality of the game. Now, if it's in smaller ways, I could see it, but as long as it's not pushed as large or as big as games like SL. As there are a lot of... That is one of the few platforms I am openly willing to shit on, as there's a lot to be learned from their shortcomings and failures. Not too much good, in my opinion. But it's still alive to this day, and it still makes a lot of money. The experience just isn't what it was or could be, and I don't want to see a VR platform fall down that rabbit hole. And I don't think they will. I think they won't fall down that path. There's no real indicators that they will. But the shortcomings of other platforms, especially in a monetary sense, is important to consider. While saying that, there are always going to be benefits and downsides to everything. Just one of my hopes is that it doesn't become too monetary related. I still think ultimately it should be user and community driven, and monetary should be a secondary focus, not a core aspect. But I don't think they'll go down that route. I think the team has a pretty good head on their shoulders, but who knows for sure. As for other things to talk about, well, this is something that worried me a lot actually at first, was, does full body tracking work? And that was going to be a deal breaker for me if we were going to talk about it or not. And I know that's such a small thing, but a lot of our Hapus, even though the ones on screen for the most part aren't in full body, a lot of us use full body. Well, like them. And them. So,
I mean, I'd like to be.
fair.
Maybe these people here.
But that was something that worried me for a little bit. So they do have full body tracking and lip syncing, which thank God for full body tracking. Lip syncing is curious. I'm kind of surprised. I don't know if they mean...
It's probably related to face tracking.
I don't know for sure if that's related to face tracking or just basic ass Visemes. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that's referencing HTC's fucking bullshit. I don't even know what to call it.
It is face tracking.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks so strange.
It would not make sense for them business-wise to not include those tracking systems because
That's true.
It's where everything is going. So
Yeah.
Body language, eye contact.
Exactly, that's true. One of the biggest things that, as I said, was worrying me was full body tracking, as expression is a major part of virtual reality. And I know it may not seem like that big of a deal, but being able to express yourself in a full body sense, it might not be perfect, but you can still move your legs. You can still express yourself almost fully. Sure, maybe not emotionally in the sense of facial gestures. You've got to do that yourself. But it adds a lot to the experience, and missing something core like that, it would be a deal breaker for a lot of people. And something else that is either a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. Right now, to my knowledge, they don't support Quest. That being in non-connected to a computer or the what was it called, Airlink. I haven't had a Quest in a while, but so Quest doesn't seem to be supported currently, which could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. Now, I'm gonna insert our statistics into this because I was against Quest for a long time, but statistically speaking, a shit ton of our user base is now Quest. And at times, Quest activities will get more, if not significantly more, users than PC. Now, that's not saying that all of them are Quest specific, but a very large demographic of our population and VR's population are Quest. I believe Quest outnumbers PC by a fuckload. And if experience is going into public worlds on this platform is anything to base it off of, well, if you're missing out on that platform, right now it doesn't matter with how early they are in development, but down the line they're going to want to add Quest compatibility. And I know the user experience isn't going to be the same. And I know there are going to have to be restrictions for Quest. But it only makes sense for that to be done. Not right now. There's no reason to put resources into that so early on. But Quest is going to have to become a must, in my opinion. Too much of the VR user base is Quest-based. Our statistics show that Quest is just fucking rising and rising and rising.
The thought that I have on that, though, is that Quest is an Android operating system, and Quest is Quest. Really, what people are more interested in is a standalone headset, regardless of operating system. In an ideal world, you want a standalone headset that is based on PC language. So, yes, Quest is a consideration for now and for the next few years, but I wouldn't like to say how long that's going to remain.
That's true.
I can see the rise of a few more standalone Android-based devices.
Yeah, but it won't be that long before there's something that's more like PC standard built into a headset.
Yeah, that's
They're already.
And also,
I mean, there's Windows-based handheld gaming devices on the horizon. Not just the Steam Deck, but there's another one on its way shortly, which is Windows.
and the Apple headset, which is technically also a computer, quote unquote.
Although we digress. Sorry, Blaze.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I actually have more thoughts on that, because it would make sense for them to implement that and still leave it up to the clients or whatever, whoever owns the server, to tell them, like, hey, you can make your stuff Quest compatible or not. That's up to you, but we do support it.
I guess it would be whether it's Android compatible or PC. Is probably what it boils down to in the end. Yeah.
I mean, they could do servers that are Quest centric or split, but I don't know how, from an actual back-end perspective, how fucked it would be to make it work. So that's not necessarily something we're going to touch on, but from a user benefit, it makes a lot of sense. Even if the quality of the user base can definitely be a little lower in age, it can be crazy, it can be janky, it can be chaotic, and of course you'll have your age restrictions, but there's a lot of really cool people that aren't kids who use Quest. It's a very easily accessible platform, and honestly I don't see it going anywhere for quite a long time. There may be competitors, but ultimately no one has Meta. No one has the money, backing, or presence to beat them, and that could be for years or even more, to be fair. There are no competitors in that space that are comparable, but standalone headsets are pretty fucking awesome. Like, they're pretty damn awesome. You might not have the same quality of experience, but you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a computer and then $1,000 on a headset. But again, it's not something they should be investing in until later down the line. As it currently stands, their resources are much better put elsewhere than into Quest. That said, though,
Let's joke about my Quest 2 as being my emergency VR headset in case the main one breaks. It's almost in a glass cabinet with a little hammer. In case of emergency, break out the Quest 2.
That's fucking funny.
Yeah, but don't forget that Meta is also still on shaky ground with their stocks, and we don't know what the Quest 3 of them will bring, and if it actually will be good or not. So
that's true. The
it looks
company
like he's
itself
potentially
is
changing
fucked.
his mind on all that.
Yeah, that's true. The company
I feel like
in general
most of the
is
things
fucked.
surrounding the next generation of VR will be decided by the end of this year.
Probably.
And then suddenly Valve comes along with their new headset that has brain control.
That's
Suddenly,
what I'm waiting on.
suddenly,
Yeah, we'll
been
see.
waiting 3 years for that sudden index.
4 now, basically.
Is it?
Yeah, 4. Yeah,
Been a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
2019 is when it got out.
Crikey.
I see what you said, Jarno. I don't know. From what I've seen, it depends. Predominantly Quest from the ones I've watched. But overall, those portions of our activities get a lot of users.
To be fair, what Jarno is saying, there are not quite a few Quest users that are on this. Mostly on the big day, it's about 6 Quest users, and the rest are all PC, but like to raid Quest users because
That's
it's
true.
fun. It's yada yada. So
The
A lot
quest
of them
raids
do be
themselves
that.
are very successful.
That do
Yeah.
be true. The activities themselves go
Well, the bottom
burr.
line is they're successful because they're successful because they are catering for Quest users.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the point all along. You've got to cater for as many people on as many platforms as you can to be successful.
This is true. Let's see.
Don't step into your Abby.
I was smoking.
You like teleported up in the air for a second.
So let's go off their feature list real quick. This is their words. Massive Loop features powerful tools to help you accomplish your own vision of the metaverse, including high-fidelity worlds. I don't know what that's supposed to mean outside of high-quality worlds. Which, to be fair, it's worth saying, I guess. But a robust
Means the
Unity
drywall
software
tastes
development
nicer.
kit. That's the drywall tastes nicer. I honestly don't know what that's supposed to mean. I'm assuming they mean that their worlds are high quality, they look nice, which is a fair thing to add for normal people. Outside of approaching a normal audience, I feel like it's weird to say. But it makes sense. Now, a robust Unity software development kit, they do have their own SDK. I looked at it a little bit, but for anybody who's interested, something that I really liked was their tutorial series. It's actually not that bad, and it's really easy to follow, which is something I could definitely give other platforms shit for. But
oh yeah, definitely.
but I like
Tell me
how their
about it.
shit's set up. It looks pretty simple and straightforward. Granted, it's all the scripts are Lua. It's full fucking Lua. Now, that's not an area I know shit about, but all of their scripting support is Lua. Custom avatars, of course. You can upload your own content, your own avatars, worlds, just like the other platforms. From what I have seen avatar-wise, we'll get into that. That's a little later. Metaverse search engine for services, worlds, servers, avatars, and much more. I'm assuming that's just their browser for worlds and everything. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm assuming that's just how you find worlds and shit. That wording is a little confusing, I'm not gonna lie. It sounds a little corporate, less easy to understand.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. In the back of my mind, I wonder how much of this is actually aimed at people on that working from home, trying to tackle Zoom or Teams and other things, and having actual corporate meetings within their environments. For example, if somebody wants a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting in the corporate world, they would send an email. You'd click a link, and it would find its way through the internet and bring up the software. So it could be that kind of thing, searchable through web links, etc.
Oh, I get what you mean. That makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes more
Yeah.
sense than what I was thinking. If it's what Crispy said, then that actually makes a shitload of sense. So that would be pretty solid. Because that had me really confused for a minute too. I was like, wait, wouldn't this just be like a normal search function? But you're right. You're very right. And some of the wording is corporate, which throws me off a little bit. But that makes sense. It would confuse the shit out of a normal person, and it definitely confused me. But it makes sense. So we brought this up earlier, full body tracking and lip syncing. Again, that would have been a big deal breaker in my opinion, as the expression that you lose without full body tracking. It doesn't seem like a lot, but being able to express or emote yourself in those kinds of ways are really important. They're extremely important, even if it seems like a very small thing. It's very vital to the user experience, in my opinion. As for lip support, I very rarely see anybody use it, but it's really cool.
It could just be Vizemes that they're talking about.
I want to believe that they're talking about Vive's lip sync bullshit. I want to believe. I'll ask them when we're done with the podcast. So, I went flying away.
and we're done right now.
Happened earlier.
I guess
Crashes and burns.
I guess I was going a little sooner than I thought.
You're so ripped from your body.
Oh man! But before we put up
Straight downhill.
straight now, before I do put their platform in the channel with the other ones that we have all the detailed information about, I will ask their staff questions to fill in the gaps or things that we don't know about. That way, when we do put up our information about them, it'll be as accurate as possible. But, God damn it. That was funny. I just fucking disappeared into the floor. But yeah, before I post
Usually happens to
any of
me.
it. It does. It happens to you more than me. Normally my leg
Yeah.
goes flying.
Yeah.
But on a different note, this is something that I found really interesting, and I still have no fucking clue what it means, but I like it, which is director mode for streamers and VTubers. I'm not sure exactly how that works, and I am going to inquire, but it sounds pretty interesting to me. I mean, in the modern day, VTubers, they're not at their peak like they were a couple of years ago, but they're still extremely popular, and VR platforms give people a way to do that. I mean, to be a VTuber with more expression and detail than, say, 2D software or otherwise. So, that director mode, if it gives us more functionality than existing platforms do, that would be pretty useful, in my opinion, for smaller content creators or newer content creators. I like the idea of it, but I am going to ask and inquire both personally in-game and otherwise. Other
That's a lot to
things.
speculate on.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into detail because I couldn't investigate it myself. But again, before I put any of this information up, we'll make sure that it's all accurate. So take some of what we say with a bit of salt. But yeah, director mode sounds interesting. I don't know for sure what it'll bring or what it has, but the idea of more tools for streamers, VTubers, smaller content creators would definitely be a big point, in my opinion. It would be really interesting. And we do have a lot of functionality on the platform we're using right now, but I am curious to see how it'll differ. They do bring up apps, so camera, mirror, chat, compass, and other things. I'm not sure how all of that's going to work functionally. I haven't gotten my hands on the game. I have it all sitting there, logged in, downloaded, but we're going to talk about that aspect a little later, as it's at the very end of my notes. So, similar functionality to existing platforms, like camera, mirror, all that stuff, which is good. For being alpha, they do have some good functionality that are comparable to other products, platforms, what may have you. So camera, mirror, and chat and mirror is something I was happy to see. It seems like such a small thing to some people, but being able to chat, whether you're on desktop or you're on mute, it's very nice to have. It's a good feature. And same thing with mirror.
Imagine no mirror. Imagine that. Don't put the mirror in.
Mirror dwelling.
Paradise.
Yeah.
Didn't we got
Actually,
fucking
yeah.
mirrors a while ago? I still find that weird.
Got rid of them now.
Fucking.
Oh,
ugh.
our own mirrors.
Oh yeah, we got
I
we
was
got rid of all of our
surprised,
mirrors. That's true.
We just
It was
made them really
surprising
small.
that it took VR chat this long to actually develop the chat box feature.
Dude,
True. We've been
thought it was
asking
just like
for
their
it for a
design
while.
philosophy where they wanted people to only talk and interact in a virtual sense, and then you add that, and then it turns into a chat room. You know?
I could totally see
Yeah,
that.
it could be it.
To be fair, I could totally see that. It's
Then they
not,
just
but I
went
could
ahead
see
and
it.
did anyways. Yeah, no, it's great.
Turn
It's
into
better.
IMVU overnight.
Please
Well, we're
no.
just drawing and making complicated keyboard avatars anyway, so this is just add it. There we go.
Excuse me. That's true. This next part's really fucking interesting, but I need to take a sip of water before I die.
Agua.
Yeah, dying is bad.
Yeah. So,
Was that a good sip of water?
I don't know. You're echoing like a motherfucker.
Oh yes,
Love you,
I
darling.
was about to say infinite feedback loop.
Yeah.
Oof.
But the last little bit I got here from their website, there are many real-world skills that translate perfectly to the digital realm. Whether you're a VR experience provider, VTuber, DJ, dancer, club owner, Metaverse service provider, game developer, or even a brick-and-mortar company, our goal is to give you the tools you need to operate, engage with your current community, or even make the jump and excel in this new digital realm. If you have suggestions for tools, yada yada yada, well, I'll link all of it. But yeah, that's what they got written down there, and I gotta say, it's really interesting
So
the
there
way
we-
it's worded. The way that it's presented is very interesting. What you got,
So
Agent?
they already took note of your drywall addiction. Brick
Did
and
I
mortar
fix it?
company.
Brick and mortar. Shut the fuck up. Oh, I'm
Am I
dead.
still giving feedback?
Huh?
No, you're good.
Is there still feedback? I'm good.
I
Okay.
think you're fine. But yeah, as I said, there are many real-world skills that translate perfectly to the digital realm. That's a very interesting way to phrase it, but this is true. A lot of things are comparable to real life in VR. Not in a one-to-one respect, of course, but if you're a DJ, a VTuber, dancer, so on and so forth, these are things that are commonplace in virtual reality, as they can correlate pretty easily. But while saying that, whether you're a game developer or a brick and mortar company, that statement's something that I found really interesting. I mean, when it comes to creation for VR, you can really create whatever you want. Generally, it's all based in Unity, which gives you a lot of freedom. So I can definitely see a lot of functionality for things like DJs or club owners, similar to how we have on existing platforms. While saying that, I'm very curious what all of the tools are or are going to be that they provide for us to operate or engage with audiences, communities, or otherwise. There are a lot of things that I have questions for, which is why we're not going too deep into certain things, but it does give you a general idea of Massive Loop and, well, so on. But I do agree with that statement. For what they have listed, their initial statement is true, perfectly to the digital realm. If you're a dancer, DJ, club owner, VTuber, as they say, these are all very, very accurate. But I'm very curious what all of the tools are and how it all works. And I'll definitely ask some questions. Let's see. Excuse me, that monster's great. Now, we talked about this already, but I have it written down a second time. This is taken from their, I want to say their website or their YouTube channel. I forgot. I put this one in last second. So Massive Loop is organized into servers, worlds, and avatars, as previously discussed. Servers are collections of worlds and avatars with their own rules. Servers are ideal for companies, groups, and power users that wish to deliver high-quality experiences to their community or audiences. Your own server gives you control over which avatars are approved, member acceptance, creator restrictions, age restrictions, and more. That in itself is a huge deal in my opinion. That is a massive functionality, feature, whatever you may call it. That is big to me. Now, there are concerns associated with it, of course. Would it reduce growth in some ways, that being for the game or the group or company using it? It's hard to say for sure. There are definitely downsides to it, but they don't really come anywhere near to the benefits, in my opinion. I could see there potentially being growth issues associated with that kind of system, but I believe the way they have it laid out right now is pretty solid. And I don't know. I like how it's set up right now, that being their site, and well, hell, everything that I've read off on paper is pretty damn fucking cool, to be entirely fair. But I definitely could see growth issues with a system like that, whether that's for communities or the game itself, as restricting stuff like that on small scale is great, big scale not at all. Again, I don't know how this will work for sure. Personally, I think the way that it's set up right now is gonna work pretty damn well, but I don't know. Who knows for sure? What do I have here? This is a big one for me. So Massive Loop doesn't have any tokens or virtual bullshit to buy. So no upfront investment to get started on the platform. You don't spend any fucking money to get to play it. If you want to delve deeper into, like, say, the server side of things, advanced creation stuff, then there's monetary incentive. Like, say you want a server with more space, more dedicated space. Okay, gonna go spend like $10 or something. It's very interesting how it's laid out, and it makes sense. It's pretty affordable. Now, the curiosity is, what exactly can you do? It looks like you can do pretty much whatever you want as long as you have experience in Lua and aren't limited too hard by Unity. Who knows, though? I really like the idea that, hey, no upfront investment, great. Be like the other VR platforms in that regard. Don't make monetary incentives or otherwise a core aspect or pushed into people's face. I like it in the way that it's currently set up. I think it's pretty fair. But that's just my opinion. So they do a good explanation of this. Most common functionality is free. You can purchase advanced features if you need these, such as hosting a server community, and otherwise. But ultimately, I like how they word it. I like how it's said. I like the idea behind it. And we will test out the functionality, how it all works. We will buy our own server and test the functionalities for ourselves. That leads into something I was going to bring up later down the line. But I will get a small group of Hapus together, and we will do a little expedition at some point, both on the creation side and the actual playing the game side. I'm not sure when exactly we'll do that. I would like to get certain questions answered first, and a better idea of certain features and tools. But we will be investigating that game directly and on a creation side of things, as I see a lot of potential. But going on, this is something This is gonna be really dumb, but they added desktop support like 6 months ago or something, and for some reason I had it written down separately, and it just made me giggle that they didn't have desktop for the longest time, but they had VR. That's funny to me. That's cool. But so their browser features, Metaverse browser. So we talked about that earlier. I guess that gives us our answer. Full support for user-generated worlds, avatar, and content. OpenRX support for more devices. That's something that I want to know about. More devices. Would that be support for Android? Or I don't know what that would be for. I genuinely don't... I don't know what it would be used for. But that sounds really fucking interesting. High resolution why? High resolution worlds. God damn it.
The devices, not mobile phones.
Good old high res.
High res. I don't know why, but saying that just sounds weird to me. High resolution worlds. If you're like very new to this space, that sounds good. If you've been in the space for a while, it kind of sounds weird, to be fair.
It's dumb.
I mean, you can have higher resolution textures, and the maps can be very high quality. It just kind of sounds weird to say it like that.
Screen resolutions.
Yeah, it makes me instantly think of like screen resolutions. Like,
Like say other devices. Other devices.
Or texture
Such as mobile
resolutions.
phones.
yeah,
Textures,
Just
other
doesn't know
textures.
high resolution worlds leaves me
Resolutions.
with a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what'd you say, Dream?
Huh?
What'd you say? I didn't
Oh,
hear
they
you.
don't know what they don't know resolution means. Clearly.
Fair. There are many questions to be had on what that exactly means, as that can be interpreted in a lot of ways, which it's clearly being interpreted a few ways here. I don't know exactly what that means, because what I assume it means doesn't make sense. So I'll have to ask what they mean exactly by that, because it has left us a little confused. It might just be a term issue, or maybe we're misunderstanding. I'm not sure. We already talked about full body tracking support. What? What'd I miss?
Yeah.
What happened? What'd I miss?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Not a damn thing. Don't
Don't
worry.
worry. Don't worry. The peanut butter went tumbling.
I'm actually gonna have to like go in a minute here, but if we're talking directly to the devs of a burgeoning VR platform, there is something that I need to say as someone who does a lot of creation for VR chat right now.
Go for it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so if you want to get pre-existing and or well-established creators from other platforms, please, and I'm actually begging you right now, please don't reinvent the wheel. Please make it simple to take content we've already made and put it into your game. Absolutely zero creators are enthused at the idea of having to learn an entirely new system to put stuff that they've already made into a new thing. Like, please give us tools and like plenty of support for that. That's what will get people on your platform. I promise you, man.
That's true.
Like, I'm sitting here right
Trust me,
now
bro.
and saying, oh my god, do I really have to learn a whole new system to try and get the avatars that I've already made and love into this new thing? And
There's
that is the
parallel.
most daunting idea in the world. So, like, please give us easy, like, tools to make that happen.
If you want to compare it to VR chat, there's SDK 2 to SDK 3, and how many people didn't want to do anything to convert their stuff, just continued using the old stuff, didn't even bother. But then there were tools made by the community, though, that did conversions for people, or in the early days.
True.
Nowadays, everybody switched over, but also they're forcibly getting rid of the old stuff, and the new one is just objectively way better. So if you're
True.
gonna reinvent the wheel, make sure it's damn worth it. How about that?
That's true too. Don't take everything you see from other platforms. There's a lot of good and bad. And when I say take, I mean inspiration. There's always cool new things going on in different platforms, but I like how it looks so far. It looks very unique in a lot of ways. And they don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I would say learn from the shortcomings of existing platforms. Don't take necessarily. You don't need to just make your own thing. Stick to doing what you're doing. And in regards to creation, that's true. One of the bigger issues that we've seen for other platforms, most creators are not willing or want to remake their avatars or make them compatible with other platforms, especially more experienced creators. A lot of the time their shit's pretty, a lot of stuff going on. And remaking that stuff on other platforms often doesn't feel worth it. And very difficult for some, which if you're making something brand new, then okay.
Don't.
But the majority of the user base that you will end up getting, at least early on and for the foreseeable future, will be people coming from existing platforms. And if you want those users to have a comparable experience, creators need to have a very, not easy way, but there needs to be good tools in place or support in place. If existing creators from other platforms, a lot of them are just normal people. They just want to upload their main avatar or otherwise that they use on, say, VRChat, CVR, or Neos. Nobody ever wants to completely learn a new system. And I know asking for tools in that regard can be a lot, but having easier ways to convert is definitely a plus, as we ran into that problem with CVR. When we got initially interested in that, converting our avatars, it wasn't hard, but not really many people, if anyone, wanted to do it. It wasn't worthwhile in a lot of ways. And ultimately, you run into a very similar user base issue, which only exacerbates the creation and community issues. So having some form of tools and support to more easily bring over existing creations from other platforms would be, in my opinion, a game changer. And I know
Because you need those people.
that's true. And I know not everyone's a creator and otherwise, and there has to be more incentive for creators or communities. And one of those ways would be more easily convertible means for their existing content to come to your platform. As honestly, the majority of the older user base are going to want to use their avatars, and there has to be more reasons for them to want to recreate or fix them to work on that platform. And I know asking something like that this early on in the development, well, it's a lot to ask. But for the future, I think that would be a very, very good thing to invest in. As again, the majority of your user base for the foreseeable future will be coming from existing platforms. And easing the creators or groups into your space with tools like that would be massive. It would be a very big deal.
Do we know what engine they run on?
Unity 2020. I forget the exact version.
Oh,
So,
that's also one big headache.
understandable.
Imagine if it was Unreal.
That would be fucked. I don't want to try to imagine developing for Unreal. Are you kidding me? Oh no.
The bottom line is, if there's a new company out there and they're trying to attract people to jump off from one platform to another and do something new, you've got to stack all of the odds and everything in your favour. So something as daft as not being a simple process of us transferring our avatars across from this platform, for example, to your new platform could be just the worst thing you can do. Make it easy, make it simple, so we hop across, you'll get people over much easier. Stack the odds in your favour.
That's true. You don't want to copy other platforms, and you definitely don't want to steal from other platforms, but having accessibility or easily accessible ways for those users to use your platform, it just makes sense. Plain and simply put. but
Mm-hmm.
I need a sip of water again. This vape is very harsh.
It's all that drywall.
It's all the dry.
So that drywall.
It's very. It's really absorbent. Drywall.
Yeah, I've actually got a roll. I've got guests arriving like now, but I feel I've said my piece.
Blaze,
Yeah, I
See
like what
everybody.
you
Have a
said.
good one.
Really?
Twilight.
Thanks
Really
for
good
coming,
input.
Lamb.
Make sure it's MOF compatible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was really good
Blaze,
input.
look at my creation.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. But yeah, that was really good input. I agree. That was very fucking good input. But yeah, so there's a bunch of other stuff written down here, but honestly, we don't need to go over everything. I think we've said a pretty good piece. But we will keep talking about it as my list... I'm not halfway down my notes. I'm a quarter way down my notes. We're not going to go through all of them. I'll compile questions and ask them off stream. There's a lot of unknowns, and we'll avoid the majority of the unknowns for now. I'll include all relevant information in the post, either today or tomorrow. But while saying that, there are some other things here in the browser features. In-app menu, like chat, personal mirrors, etc. So essentially your menu. Unlimited favorites for worlds, avatars, servers. for for anyone,
Shots fired.
yeah, that's shots fired for real. Holy shit. Nothing more needs to be said. Shots fired. That's funny as fuck.
By the way, on the comment that Jarna just made that they will be unlikely to downgrade to 2019, I think the idea is that we need to upgrade to 2022
Well,
on Unity
VRChat was
versions.
already talking about upgrading multiple
Yeah.
versions. So either they're going to do one version, and then if it goes well, they're going to look into catching up even more.
That's true.
Yeah,
Which, if they're
That's what
going
I
to do
wanted
it,
to
do
address
it
Jarna.
all in one shot. If you're going to do it,
Yeah, but that
Just
still
do it. Break-
leaves the
break
question.
everything.
You can do it, but it still leaves the question of existing avatars. If you don't provide the means for fixing them, then you just killed pretty much everything. Like,
Yeah, and people will not be as eager to get back to fixing their stuff.
well, they
Pretty
always
much.
say that they are prioritizing making everything the same. They always say that.
I hope,
Mm-hmm.
but who knows? World caching for worlds you visit frequently. This is something I would expect.
Yeah,
It's kind of
pretty much.
weird to hear it. It's kind of weird to hear it listed, but I guess it would make sense if you're a new user. It just kind of sounds a little strange, but if you're a new
Avatar
user, it
caching
makes
also?
sense. I'm assuming that's
Just
on
world.
here. I think that's on here.
It'd be world to list world caching, but not avatar caching. If you're
I'm double checking, but I don't see that listed. But yeah, world caching for worlds you frequently visit. This is something I would hope is a given. So that's nice. Just weird to see it written out is all. Just something
I
that's
would assume
expected.
the same thing for avatars, though, because if you visit those worlds regularly, you'll visit that same list of avatars.
Yeah,
regularly.
no matter what, it's going to be
maybe.
cached as well. It has to be. Even if
Yeah.
it's not listed here, you would be caching avatars or otherwise too.
well, they felt the need to list one of them, but not the other.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
It's a-
dead.
It's a,
Hey, listen, this is why we exist, at least in this given moment. We're not trying to shit on you guys or anything. We're having fun and we're trying to tell you, hey, this, that, and, point out some issues or some things that we could think are good or general criticisms. But, yeah, I don't see Avatar caching on there. But Metaverse search engine, I don't know what exactly that means, so I am going to look into that. That word confuses me a little bit, especially with how it's used in other sentences. So take anything I say in regards to that with a grain of salt, as I don't know what I'm talking about. Age verification to help protect minors. That's great. I'd expect that. But it makes sense to say that, to be fair. That is something that, without question, needs to be said. And more. I don't...
due diligence.
Yeah, due diligence for sure. Highly programmable Unity 2020 SDK for custom dynamic worlds and avatars, 350 megabyte world size. So you are restricted in world size, but that makes sense. 350 is pretty damn high, especially if you're good at
Yeah.
optimizing your world. Hell, my dumbass can make a 400 megabyte world into like 20. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Ooga booga caveman.
Yeah, that's like 95% of the worlds are gonna be underneath that. It's a random number off the top of my head, but
Most of them for sure.
not gonna be an issue. Yeah.
This is something Crispy talked about. No need to purchase virtual land. That's funny. Which
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real with you.
Hey.
The fact that that's
Servers.
stated in the first place is hilarious. I love that that's stated. I'm glad that it's stated.
There goes my estate agent's plan. Damn it.
Crispy was
Too
gonna
bad.
turn into a VR real estate agent.
Yep.
Sort of like shots fired, but it's
Kind
Probably
of.
has to do with the crypto
Oh.
land bullshit.
Yeah, I
towards
could
a different person.
I could definitely see that, to be fair. I could see shots fired in that regard.
Community.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
That
still,
brings
though.
up an interesting question, though. What about avatar crashing? Because I would assume that you have complete control over.
That was a topic
What
I
else?
was gonna avoid because so far I haven't seen that being a problem, period, but we can discuss that. I don't know how their safeties work in regards to avatars or protection for the user base. That's an area that I have quite a few questions
Epilepsy
for.
protection.
That too, having some way of protection, considering you are epileptic. But we definitely are going to have to ask a bunch of questions in regard to that.
Just for the love of God, don't implement anti-cheat.
Anti-cheat can be a good or a bad thing. It really depends. It just really depends. While saying that though, the no need to purchase virtual land is funny. Darling, I love you, but what the fuck are you doing? It's so loud.
So loud I was itching my nose. I'm so
Peanut
sorry.
butter.
It's okay. I'm just like, what the fuck?
I
But
was itching my nose.
But yeah, so that answers Crispy's question about virtual land. Of course, knew that was going to be the answer, but the fact that it's stated is really funny. I like that. That's great. A Lewis
Look at
scripting
past
engine.
mistakes.
A Lewis scripting engine allows you to write and share code with your team. I mean, cool. Multiplayer build and run, test multiplayer by yourself. That confuses me a little bit. Test
Yeah.
multiplayer by yourself.
Some of the stuff is.
Artificial
Well, then, though,
intelligence.
you should actually
Using
also add
bots.
udon then, because if you want to have people come,
Fuck
come over
that.
easily.
They don't. As if a converter is good enough. Fuck Udon. Udon is VR chat's thing. They can't have it. Them going with Lua makes a lot of
Fine.
sense. Converting between the
Okay.
two makes sense. They should not use it, considering that is VR chat's thing.
I didn't know it was VR chat specific.
I believe it is.
Never heard of it before. VR chat.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure VRC made it. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so that's, in my opinion, pretty interesting. The test multiplayer by yourself thing confuses me. I'm assuming that's in regards to worlds that would have NPCs. That's my assumption.
Syncing things between players.
True.
Avatars or worlds.
That's true. Yeah, that's,
Which would
yeah,
be nice.
actually, that makes sense. That would be nice.
I don't know what that looks like, but sure.
I could see that. If it's that, then that's cool. If it's not that, then still interesting and cool. Don't know what it would mean otherwise, though. ML components
Yeah,
grab
I don't
mirrors,
know.
video streaming, ride vehicles, and more. So, same kind of functionality we have on existing platforms. You know, unless grab refers to also people. If grab refers to, like, say, I could grab her tail and pick her up or something like that, then that would be extremely cool.
That's just mean.
Very fair. Now, if it means in a general sense for picking up items, then that's a very basic feature, but I understand why it would be listed. It makes sense. That does leave more questions, which I will ask. While saying that, video streaming, I'm glad that's a thing already. Now, I do have a safety question or two, but I'll compile safety questions before I ask any of them. While saying that, there are a lot of safety questions to be had, and to be entirely fair. But we'll get into that later, not on here. Multiplayer object synchronization features. So,
That's what I thought the other thing was.
yeah.
Well, features. So we have testing for it and the features themselves,
I guess so.
I guess. Listed in that way.
Yeah.
It's just a guess.
The wording is a little confusing on some of these, but that might just be because of our perspective. I'm not sure. Just some of it can be a little confusing. Now, if we were more involved and had more participation in that project in the sense of parties going over there or worlds being made, then we would already have a lot of these answers ourselves. But it's really good to look at it from this perspective as well, because we're looking at it from both a group aspect and a user aspect. If we're having issues with some of the wording, then other people likely would as well. And I'm not saying any of its wording is bad, just a little confusing in some places. That's all. Overall, it's written very well. You just confused my dumbass a little bit.
This here group of VR chat users.
Something I brought up earlier, their video tutorials, I actually really like their tutorial series. Now, there's supposed to be 8 of them, but they've only posted 4 of them, and I didn't see any mention of the missing 4, so I don't know if they're going to put 4 more out, but the existing ones are actually really nice. They did a really good job with the tutorial videos, in my opinion, which that was something that made me happy. I thought it was straightforward. They did a good job explaining things. So, good shit for that one. Complete documented SDK reference. Yeah, their documentation for their SDK is pretty solid too. That's something that you'll probably be more interested to look at than me. But creation in that regard, I stopped fucking around with Unity a while ago. It takes up too much of my time. Integrated hosting. What the fuck? Integrated hosting. Upload from the SDK. So just up.
I don't know.
So that just means you can upload from the SDK? That the SDK and the servers are... I'm not sure what...
Integrated hosting.
Yeah, need more detail. It's like missing words.
I think I have that verbatim written down. We'll have to ask about that too.
With what?
Integrated hosting, upload from the SDK. I don't know what that means exactly. I'll have to ask about that too, because that one really confuses me. I'm assuming they just mean you upload from the SDK, and then it's on their platform.
Yeah, they seem almost like
instead of having to
like 2 separate statements.
Yeah. I'm
confusing.
I'm a little confused on that one too. No offense to whoever wrote it. Most of it's very good, but I am very confused on some of it. Worlds and avatars hosted on globally distributed CDN servers. So they have dedicated servers. That's interesting. That's good. I'm happy with dedicated servers.
For sure.
Does that also implicate that you can host your own machine?
Oh, probably not, but that's interesting. Actually, that's really interesting. Could you theoretically host your own server? I'm assuming it has to
Physically.
be done. Yeah, but like,
Well, it sounded like it was their CDN.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
well, it would have to
I
be
can't
done through their
imagine that.
network, so you couldn't do it yourself. It physically doesn't make sense.
Imagine
but-
hosting a server in your garage on a
Or
regular
like
domestic
Minecraft
broadband.
Realms.
like Minecraft realms.
Imagine still
Minecraft
having broadband.
realms. So we're a little confused on some of that, but I'm glad that the servers look like they're dedicated, especially considering when you do buy a server, you're buying a server. So that's interesting. I don't know if that means... I don't know how instancing is going to work. I'm going to have to ask those kinds of questions too. But anyway. The whole
It'll be a
world's...
virtual machine in the cloud somewhere.
Yeah, it's not going to be like...
Definitely.
I want it to be dedicated, but it is going to be something like that,
Oh, it won't be your own bit of tin.
as much as I wish.
Yeah.
I miss when server hosters used to let you fucking get your own box. That was so cool. Fuck.
Oh yeah. This is my blade.
I knew this one
I've seen the
You can
cloud.
hoster.
It
still
was just-
do that.
You can,
You can still
but
do that with old Valve games, but
you can still do it.
I've seen
but,
the
like,
cloud. I've stood in front of it. We went and we looked. Oh, it's the cloud. It looks just like another server in a data center somewhere. But they
That's
went, oh,
true.
this is the cloud, Crispy. Is it really? Do not touch.
I'm
I
dead.
was like leaning forward, hand down off the stop button, off the shutdown. Anyway, move on.
So, brief change of
Nice.
topic. So what about human mode? Human mode is, what do we call it? The sister company, I guess. With our terminology, we would call it a sister company. Anyway, it's another group that's apparently directly associated, I believe, as they advertise each other and appear to be connected directly. But anyway,
Jarno, don't be giving misinformation, goddammit.
what Jarno say?
He's telling Best that we're going to a new VR platform.
No, we're not doing that. We're not migrating to a new VR platform. We are interested in a new VR platform, but we will not be migrating. That will not be occurring. We definitely are going to send some groups in there to, feel it out. And I definitely will give it some time and attention. But we will not be transferring or moving or any of that stuff. VR Chat is our home. And it always will be the main home of the foundation.
Which
But-
one are we
That's a good
interested in?
choice.
All of them.
All of them.
The chat, all of them.
Yeah,
We're gonna
Best
have them
joined in
all.
late, so
We
he's
shall
asking
assimilate
for info.
everybody. What was the name of it? No, not Rec Room.
There's
Twisted Realms? What was it?
there
I keep
was
forgetting.
Rec
What's that? What
Room.
was that?
There's
Massive Loop? No?
Massive
Yeah,
Loop is
Massive
what we're
Loop, that was
talking
it.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Massive Loop, yeah.
Rec
Not Massive
Room,
Leap.
CVR,
There's
We're going
oh, and there's
looping.
also that Chinese one. What was it called?
oh, I know.
Fuck. That
Bing chilling.
Shut the fuck up.
Big chili.
I can't remember what that platform. Horizon, New Horizon. Was that it?
That's Facebook.
No, that's Facebook.
Yeah, right.
Fuck. That shows what I think of it. God damn. Anyway,
That's how insignificant it is.
deadass.
It's probably not marketed for us anyway because China.
Yeah. Well, their user base was
Yeah.
dead. That's why I never even brought up that VR game. That one had like 3 people.
No.
Yeah, but so what about human mode? So what they have written down here is not a lot, but it's words, big words. Who are we? Human Mode LLC is a frontier investment firm pursuing advancements in robotics, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality, including metaverse infrastructure and technology. VR Control for Robotics, where we work to advance technology that can help humans extend their presence into machines to get useful work done. Massive Loop started in 2018 as a research project to help businesses utilize VR and has evolved into much more. check out some of our research and innovation projects below. I will put all that information up too. So that was something that I found really interesting. The fact that those two companies, sister companies, if you will, I like the idea of VR and robotics. To be fair, having both companies be close to each other, that close to each other, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. Being able to work both teams together in that capacity is solid. That's just cool.
It just proves that one day AI will take over the world.
Well,
It's already happening.
I would say robotics first and then AI down the line. But I have
Robotic
some.
AI.
I do have some stats
Jesus
here,
Christ.
which means we're getting to the bottom of my list. Let me take a sip of water first. I'm out of water. Let me drink some strawberry monster instead. Tasty monster. I'm not wrong.
So on that note, Crispy, they added in the perfect filter for you because you could just enable burp mode.
Well, is that where it filters everything out other than the burp? Because that would be better.
This keeps happening
Jesus
and it just
Christ.
keeps on burping for
God damn.
I think
Does that
they all been my
automatically?
burps. I think they're all my burps that have been sampled as well.
What the fuck?
Someone been round Ooga Booga and recorded them all.
What the fuck?
Is there a fart filter?
Yes, there is, actually.
Excellent.
When I keep on talking, it keeps on farting for me.
Sounds exactly the same, Agent. Can't tell the difference. Sounds normal. It's just you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Blaze
Yeah.
is just like,
Anyway.
these are my monkeys and this is my circus.
It's voice mod's fault.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Your
Yeah.
circus, your monkeys, Blaze. Get them under control.
Not my
Don't
problem.
tease the
Were you
slide.
trying to be serious, Blaze? Yeah.
About which thing?
This is.
I forget now.
I don't know anymore.
Oh yeah,
You
I
were
was,
going into stats or something.
I was gonna talk about stats.
Oh, yeah,
that's
stats.
right. So this is
Oh yeah. Talking about stats, the channel disappeared again.
they disappeared again. What the fuck?
No, it didn't. It's there. You're just not allowed to see it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
You had me confused for half a second because I'm like, they're still there. They're just not
Yeah.
visible. That's funny. So
It's just to remove the clutter.
yeah. So the stat part of things. So we do have current stats taken from the game and the company. The thing that the biggest problem for us as a group going to that platform in any regard is the size of the user base, avatars, and worlds. Now, the user base, they have, let's see. There are only 589 registered users, which is not very many for a VR platform. What the fuck?
I wasn't meant to click that.
Anyway,
You eat crisps.
yeah. Anyway, fuck. They have 9 total servers, which is interesting. I'm not sure exactly how all that works because I only saw 3 when I looked, but that's interesting. Now, the users is really the interesting part because we have considerably more users than the platform itself. In a statistical sense, we are also considerably more active than the platform. So there are a few issues at hand. Statistically, we physically can't operate. We can't do what we need or want to do on that platform. We run into the exact same problem that we did with Neos or CVR. Granted, the differences and the problems are overall different outside of those comparisons, but having such a low user base for the kind of activities that we generally like to do, we just wouldn't be able to do them. Our smaller activities or side activities are definitely doable, but Hapu rating, the only way that's feasible on that platform as is would be very special events. That's the only way it could be done. You could not have consistent raids or activities, as there are no major grounding points for a community or our kind of activities. The user base is too small for Hapu raiding as is, unless it's done in a very special sense. And as for the amount of worlds, they have 150, which is a decent amount of variety. It might not compare to other platforms, but it's a start. And I'm interested to see how many of them are game worlds or otherwise interests, but it's still a very low number. Now, worlds are going to be one of your, if not the main aspect of people staying outside of communities. If you have games or interesting experiences, things to tie people into the experience that make them want to come back, that'll help a lot. Games are a big element of it, but what they're doing right now to try to get more worlds, they do have a contest going on. And more more worlds in general will definitely help the game. Bringing communities into some regard, helping smaller groups form. Communities will be the baseline of a game like this. The user base is far too small for any large groups. Friend groups right now could thrive on it to some regard, but there still has to be incentive for users or groups in comparison to existing platforms. Now, with the user base below 600 people, our community is significantly larger. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but from a user standpoint, it definitely is a problem for how we do our things. We raid people for the most part, and that's not a lot of people for us to interact with. And at some point, we will have raided every user. That will eventually happen without exponential growth, which is a big
Tasty souls.
downside. That's true. Tasty souls, which is a big downside for us. Now, granted, that's only a temporary downside. I believe that the project will get considerably more users in the given year. But as of right now, I don't see very many baselines for communities to be able to settle or be formed. And I don't see too much incentive for normal users to come back. And that's mainly because the low number of users, avatars, and worlds. We, as a community, have more avatars than the entirety of the platform, which says some stuff, to be fair. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if we as a community have more avatars than the entirety of that platform, that poses more community issues. Ultimately, I want to see the platform succeed, and I think it will. I definitely see it being a good potential competitor to existing platforms. But as it exists right now, I don't see much wiggle room for communities or the user base in general. From my understanding, it's been around for at least a year, that being for people to be able to access it, whether that's alpha or otherwise. Now, for a year with 580 users, that's rough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Same thing with worlds and avatars. There needs to be more incentive for the user base, but more incentive for communities, because ultimately communities, worlds, those are going to be your two main driving points for people coming back. Communities will always have people coming back to do events, activities, to be a part of it. There needs to be solid tools, resources, but also reasons for the differing existing or potential communities to make it there. Now, it's very early in its infancy, and you can excuse all of these, as I see them, issues, but ultimately it makes sense. The platform is still in its infancy. It's not known to a wider audience yet. And there are concerns, of course, with the number of users and avatars, but it's at a state where it can still be, I don't want to say what's the right word? It's at a state where the community can very much influence it, whether that's in a good or a bad way. It's small enough to where individuals could definitely have some say or impact, which is very good in my opinion, considering the reason this podcast is entirely centered around that platform is because they reached out to me. And I found it pretty damn interesting. And it might be in a very alpha and new state. They might not have that many people or avatars. To be fair, it makes sense. And it's entirely fair. And that user base will grow as more avatars, worlds, and groups begin to form. But if you don't have reasons for people to come back, like cool game worlds or chill spots, or, well, communities are the baseline for a lot of the platforms, whether that's content creator groups or something like ours, or even a small friend group. It's too early on in the platform's development and history to say if it's going to succeed, fail, right, or wrong, but I'm interested in it. I don't think the user avatar world situation is that bad. I don't think we have much we can add in value to that platform as is, but I definitely want to see more from it. And you'll definitely see some Hapus over there. But I hope that they take some of what we said into consideration. There is more that I have written down, but overall, our community is significantly more active. That poses further questions. For communities, not yet. I don't think it's ready for communities yet. From what I've seen, it needs more development time. It needs more time. I don't see communities being feasible over there yet. But I think the project itself is very, very interesting. And I hope to see it flourish because it has a lot of the baselines that I've been asking for from a virtual reality platform. It has a lot of the green flags that I've been wanting. And I don't see very many red flags at all, just statistical. Which, to say that the only gripes are really statistical or confusing words here or there, that's pretty big in my opinion. Exactly. If our complaints were mostly just funny haha weird wording or statistical, that's pretty fucking good. I could have a billion things to bitch about, like I have for other platforms. But there's a lot of potential there. And I hope the team over at Massive Loop keep doing what they're doing and listen to community influence. That being your new members, your old members. Listen to the people that you're catering for. And, well, you're still at a size where I think an individual could have meaningful impact with their opinion. And maybe some of what we've said here will be considered, maybe not. But, hey, I thought it was a pretty damn interesting project, and I'm interested to see where it goes. So the Hapus will have something small over there. Not a full-blown community, but I'll definitely make sure that some Hapu avatars are made, and maybe a world or two. So we have some form of influence on that platform. We'll see, though. Got any input?
All your base are belong to us.
All your base belong to us.
We must colonize.
Well, we already did
Maybe
something
we'll do a
similar to
podcast
that.
from there someday.
I actually thought about
We
doing the
Dutch are very
Poicast
good at
from there.
colonizing.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's probably no point putting a homeworld or anything there just yet, but there's,
No.
I mean, while you were talking, I was thinking, well, a Poicast world, something that
Something that draws
would be
attention
kind of
to
just
it.
for us, and straightforward, yeah. And I was thinking, will there be a karaoke world there? Let's just do. You could do some small events. You know, you can't exactly do a world hop. You can't do a games night. You could do a karaoke if there was a suitable karaoke world and a podcast. And
Exactly.
hey, a little police station or something there as well. Ooh, a small police station. a little porta cabin
Little-
hut. Something, yeah.
Little fucking police box. Oh my
Yeah.
god. But
Oh, that's a good idea.
Crispy
Yeah, a
put
police
it in a
box.
pretty good way, actually. For bigger things, it's not ready yet. But for things like that, it's totally feasible. Communities could definitely do karaoke nights or smaller things like that. Raids, maybe not. And some of the bigger events,
mic
maybe
night.
not. Exactly. You can do. A good way to look at it is a lot of how I'm looking at it is early VRC from like 2017
Yeah.
to 18. That's the way that I'm looking at this platform in a lot of regard because it's similar in functionality. As in, what I'm getting at is you can do stuff and there's some really cool stuff you can do, but a lot of it is going to be smaller user generated content. Nothing too obscene or crazy in scale. But you're very right. And doing something like a podcast world or otherwise for that kind of platform would be a very good idea. And especially considering, I mean, I'll say fucking, I don't give a shit. I'll say my opinion. And that platform could definitely use something like that. But I think
Could you name the platform one more time? I forgot again.
Massive Loop.
Massive.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job, Agent.
You're doing great.
I'm trying to.
Names. It's universal.
I'm trying to draw you a massive loop, but remember, I am microchip, so this is probably only just a little mini loop. But yeah, massive loop.
Massive loophole.
That's funny. But yeah, I would love to see
Yeah.
a podcast world over there because it's a platform that interests me enough to where I'd be interested in doing or seeing stuff over there. Giving it some attention would be cool. And with it having a lot of features that I personally like or want, well, I wouldn't mind giving it some kind of PR. Talking about its features
Well,
or developments would be pretty
Although
nice.
this thing is in its alpha, is it
Yeah.
still possible for us or a person to just sign into this thing and start using it? Is it live enough
Yeah, it's
now?
open beta, so
Yep. You
Yeah,
can hop on it
so,
right now if you
but
want.
it doesn't work through. It doesn't work through Steam or anything. Let me get this right. You visit their website and it downloads a client of some sort that way,
I
and
believe
you run it just natively on your computer.
I believe that's what I had to do. Now I've
Yeah.
got to triple check.
All right, well, fair. I mean, I've said this in the past about another platform that we were interested in a couple of years ago, and sometimes when these things are new, you don't know how successful they're going to be in the future. But if you've got a username that you're particularly fond of, it's sometimes worth signing up fairly early on just to grab your username.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
do you support underscores?
I do support underscores.
Oh, all kinds.
Okay.
What do they do anything special? Underscore? Yay to the underscores.
But
Is that
yeah,
what you mean? I support them.
there's definitely a lot of questions to be asked, and I'll definitely ask a bunch of questions. There's a lot of questions to be had, and nothing bad, of course. I'm really interested in the project, and it also being from my home state definitely adds a little bit more to it, which I've never been nationalistic for my home state, but seeing that kind of technology in when I lived there, that state was pretty fucked up and not very great. So to see something like that coming out of it makes me pretty happy, I'm not gonna lie. So
A few weeks ago, you said these guys had reached out to you. You sent us a link, and I think I was at work, and I checked it in my own little lunch break on my computer. And I'd been on the site for 5 or 10 minutes, and I was investigating it, reading through. And obviously, I didn't sign into anything, so I only read what was on their home pages. But the things that struck me is, yeah, this could be a very early new VR chat or social platform. I think it's gearing slightly different to what VR chat's doing. I have an inkling it is heading in a slightly Teamsy, Zoomsy sort of way as well, but it'll be something for everyone. And then I did like that idea. the sister company, as you call it, with the robots, people in VR controlling a robot somewhere on the other side of the world. That's what this company's about. And the thing that interested me, I kind of smiled at the end, is these guys reached out to us.
I know, right?
You know?
I was sitting over here like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, they searched all like various communities, various things, and they went, Hapu Foundation. I'll give them a call.
I know. I'm like, what the
I'm sat there
fuck?
looking at these guys' website, going, they came to us, you know.
Dude, I was
Wow.
sitting over there
Yeah.
for a minute, like, because I've had those types of DMs before. That's why I didn't immediately, like, do anything. I'm still kind of sad that I lost the name of the account has all of the linked shit, but it was just a username like normal. So I lost it in all the DMs, and I felt really bad about not getting back to them. So you guys get this video instead, which is probably a shitload better than a giant line of text. But
There we go.
I know when I got the message and actually had I finished looking into the company after like a day. After that, I was like, shit, that's kind of cool. That's actually really cool. But why the fuck did they come to us? I kept having
Because
that
we're
question.
important. That's why. It's because we're important.
No, we're
We're
important.
going places.
We're
Important. Exactly. We're important. And we're going
Interesting
places.
is
I missed that. I missed that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's also why I initially was like, it sounds like just another one of those fucking messages I'd get, because it wouldn't have been the first time. But I'm glad I looked into it more, because I see a lot of potential. I'm still kind of confused why we got hit up, but hey, hopefully some of what we said was helpful and constructive. And if you need feedback, well, there's a shitload of Hapus who definitely got...
We'll gladly give you feedback.
Exactly.
Yeah. Content creation community. That's what we are. That might be why.
That's true. We are a content creation community.
Yeah.
The Hapu Foundation is both a rating community, hangout community, fucking creation community, gaming community, RP community. And then we have multilingual sections too, so technically that applies. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Jeez.
kind of a little big.
I didn't think
I
about
could
that.
totally imagine them reaching out to you like, hey, I have this new game that I need you to play test.
That's
Here, have
kind
this
of
link."
that's kind of how I took it at first, because I've had people hit me up claiming to be devs before or projects before. So I was like, yeah, okay. Then I look at it and then I forget who the message was from, and I'm like, fuck.
Damn it.
I'm just sitting over here like, fuck. But I'm glad that I did it on this podcast, because honestly, it's a cool project and I want to see cool shit from it. And the fact that we got reached out to means they're taking input from the community, whether that's their community directly or otherwise. That's good to see. And the company itself is relatively small. We have more people on our staff team than they do for the whole company. So for the size that they're at and for the development, it's pretty damn good. It's a small company. It's a small team.
Definitely help them then.
In some regards, that's true. We definitely have experience in a few fields. But who knows? In the end, I hope good things from the platform. I think they're on a good path. And last thing, the specific quote on Quest, I don't know why this is at the bottom, but what they said about Quest: not anytime soon. Native Quest downgrades the experience too much. You can still use your Quest that is tethered or through Airlink. So as we touched on earlier, no Quest for a while, which is completely fair. At this point, using resources on it doesn't make sense.
Nope.
Do I have anything else? Oh, I do. Oh, I forgot I wrote that. So we talked about most of what I have written down here, My biggest concerns initially would be performance. I'm not sure how it compares to existing platforms. Some of the trailers looked a little laggy, so I'm a little concerned on the performance side of things. But I'll look into it and give you a good idea of how it compares. Potentially falling into a similar trap as Second Life. I think we explained that pretty good already. Monetary aspects. That is probably one of my biggest concerns, is how it's monetized and what's monetized. But that's too big of a question for now. The direction of the community or of the project was another concern I had. But that's too wide of a question to ask. My hopes: learn from other platforms. Why is it worded like this? That's weird. Oh, I'm a dumbass. This is practically written backwards. Learn from other platforms. I'm looking at it like, why is it written like, it's fucking basically backwards. So learn from other platforms and the communities that inhabit them, along with good communication to that community and just in general, whether that's about developments or just keeping up with developments. Hey, it might even just be a weekly or bi-weekly thing with your staff or developers playing the game or just hanging out. One of the biggest things that I think this project can do, since it's so small right now, you can get a head start on good communication, keeping your community, your user base informed with what's being developed, how things are going. Communication is massive, huge. And your user base and future users would definitely appreciate consistent communication. That's one area where I think you guys could excel in comparison to existing platforms and projects. And if you were able to keep a good flow of communication, that would be incredible. Community focus is something else I have written down. Communities are going to be a baseline for most of your returning members or users, whatever word you want to use. Communities keep people grounded, just as certain experiences would. And having recurring users is pretty damn nice. And as I said earlier, you might not be able to house communities of our scale in the same respect as other platforms. Well, there's a lot of room to improve there, and you can still do a lot as is. I hope that there's more communal focus than some of the existing projects, as they are a major point for the smaller projects and for some of the bigger ones. You'll always hear stories in VR chat about the different roleplay groups going around, making memories with new or old users, and just having fun. There are many communities that I could point out that still do this experience years later, but making memories is a good way to keep a user base. Communities are a good way to make memories. And, well, a lot of us have been around for a long fucking time. So, we definitely got some things to say, good and bad. While saying that, though, you've turned into a fucking sailor. Not you, darling. Okay. Anyway, I think I get that out pretty well. Just my biggest ask, listen to your community. That being your users, the people who run or maintain the communities associated with the platform. Communication in both a general sense for active developments or just how the project's doing. These things are pretty important in my opinion. And if you get ahead on these subjects early on, get used to doing it, make it a normal thing, normal dev posts, normalize that kind of behavior, and I think you'll see some pretty good results. The community always wants to know how things are progressing, what's going on. It doesn't even have to be jam-packed full of goodies or anything. We just like to know what's going on. And that's something that a lot of platforms fall very short on. My last concern was external company investment. Oh wait, this isn't under concern. I'm glad it's not. So external company investment.
Is it?
Some of it is. Don't ask me why I have it like that. I don't know. I think I was editing it and then just anyway. So external company investment in terms of world or experiences, I'm hopeful for this. If you can get companies to be able to make experiences relating to their brand, say, as you said, brick and mortar, okay, maybe this bakery wants to spend a little money and have a world created. That's their bakery or otherwise. Maybe they can teach you how to make certain things in VR. That's a way that you could directly translate real life into VR. And I hope things like that come out of it. Because if you have similar experiences to that, that opens a lot of doors for people who otherwise wouldn't have it. New avenues to, well, showcase your product, your business, your creation, while also being able to interact and grant an experience. I'm hopeful it goes in that direction. Instead of like the IMVU or SL way that you can buy literally everything and anything under the sun. God.
At the cost of your own money.
Yep. Your soul, your life, your bones, everything. Anybody have anything they'd like to add? Go on.
As long as you also don't implement free-to-play mechanics.
Oh,
For the love of God.
he means microtransactions or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Unlimited favorites, unlimited world lists, unlimited all that stuff.
shots fired.
Is there even a reason why VR chat didn't do that? Obviously they implemented, you know, the VR chat plus stuff, but that was way later.
My
Years
only
later. Unless it was always something that they wanted to do.
There's a lot of questions in regard to how that actually worked, because you could very easily handle that many in your menu. You could easily handle that many favorites and worlds and otherwise. I saw
Menu design was a big problem.
Menu design was a big problem,
sure.
and I'm assuming that was probably why, but I don't know.
They tackled it.
They did.
I think
It was
Now
already
we
too
gotta
late.
pay money.
Yeah, but now
circling
they're
back to what
yeah.
you were saying about paying attention to
We're
your
already paying for
community's
Avatar
feedback.
slots. We're not going to take that away.
Hold on, darling.
It's always good to listen to them.
Say again, darling.
No,
I said I think circling back to listening to your community's feedback, like having them report your bugs for you, or adding a bug report mode.
They got bug report
in case of
features and all that.
errors. Yeah.
But yeah, community input at this stage is going to be paramount. It's going to be extremely important. Your users at this stage are going to be shaping the experience that your platform provides, which this early on, it's got to be a good experience.
And if they feel that you're actually listening to them, they're more likely to stick around in the game.
Yeah, that's where communication comes in. But ultimately, your user base and the communities that form are going to be the expression of that game, of that platform, project, whichever word you want to use to define it. And ultimately, until you hit some kind of big, whether that's a viral video or something otherwise that brings in a lot of users, up until you hit consistent numbers far above what your total user count is currently, once you get to that point, you don't have to worry about overall your user base and the expression. But for this stage, it's going to be kind of homegrown in a sense. You've got to make your community. You've got to build your game. You have to extend hands. I say hands. My pen is fucking insane. Anyway.
Catch these hands.
Listen, this shit is macaroon Fruit Loops, I think. It's so fucking good. The problem is it makes my lips numb. So trying to speak is fucking dumb.
Oof.
But yeah, I gotta agree. Your community is the most important part right now. It's so small to where they are your experience 100 fucking %. They are gonna be the first introduction to your experience and your platform. As long as it doesn't fall down the path of CVR, I think you're gonna have a good thing going for you. As long as your user base is directed, let me put it like this. Don't try to take users from other platforms necessarily. You shouldn't be doing that in the first place. You should be building your own community, your own identity. And users from other platforms can come around and join, of course, but I don't want this platform to have the same issues as existing platforms, whether that's with client users or similar safety issues. There's a lot that can be learned from existing competitors. And I hope that this project takes some of it into consideration. And I think that them building their own community, grassroots, is going to be the best way for the project. Now, when viral videos happen or something that increases the user base in a big way that's out of your control, that's a little different. But until the day that your user base hits a pretty big number, I'm going to say you guys got to take a lot of care with the community. And I know you guys are taking good care with the project, and it looks like the community as well. But you've got to nurture and harbor it. You've got to take care of it. And when I say that, I mean, you got to take care of it. I like what I've seen. I think it'll go far. And if we can help in any way, I'm down to lend what would I lend in this case? I guess my vocal cords? But we definitely can send some bug reports and helpful information. That said, I think we should probably end it. I'm hungry. We've been going for 2.5 hours.
I'm very hungry. My dog needs to go outside.
I had a point and then pulled my wire out of my headphones and then completely lost all of my technical abilities for a second.
No.
In that minute that I was offline, did you talk about the just the general GUI of this thing and the regular menu? Because you reminded me of something when you mentioned one of the other platforms, and that was my real bee in my bonnet about that particular platform.
Menu design.
This was
Yeah.
the menu design and the on-screen. Do not overcomplicate it. Don't design it from a techie perspective. Just keep it simple. Keep it easy to operate. Think of us boomers. Think of the people who just want to be able to quickly
Think of
call
those
something
boomers.
up. Yeah, exactly. Just bury the techie stuff a little bit further back and have it quick, simple, and easy to use.
VR is how they now entertain people in retirement homes, apparently.
Yeah, it's just that I've seen it in other platforms where the menu,
super cool.
the menu starts to get so complicated, and sometimes actually, as a community or as a platform gets bigger, people can be under some form of duress or stress trying to work out how this menu works. There might be something going on in the world that they're keen to get away from or something, or they need to moderate it for themselves. The last thing they need is to be scrolling through tons of things to try and find the right button to keep themselves safe or move away from something quickly. Just don't overcomplicate the GUI. Keep it simple.
Keep your UI simple. Make sure that it's accessible for everyone. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't let it be too dev-based in the sense of it needs to be easy, accessible, simple. Users aren't going to want all the debugger dev stuff for the most part. And keeping the menu in line with that simplistic idea is pretty good. Of course, add debug features and all that, but don't let it be a staple. Because that is one issue we ran into with a different platform. Your UI, your menu is so fucking important. And I think the menu you guys are using right now is pretty solid. But we'll have to test it out.
Haven't seen it yet. Yeah. Might hop in soon.
Okay.
I need $1.
Sorry,
just read that. I need $1. I wonder if that's how the age verification works.
No.
No.
Yeah. Whose dollar is it? Were you going to wrap up now? That's it, isn't
Yeah.
it? 2 hours,
I can lend you one.
59 minutes.
We're
Yeah.
at 2.5 hours. I still need to make this video YouTube worthy. I'm probably just gonna fucking chuck it up raw and then send it to the staff team. But yeah,
Good luck.
for once the fucking Poicast is gonna be put on YouTube again. So hell yeah.
Hello.
I'm gonna pop around, but say hi to some friends and then probably get off of here.
All right, darling. I love you. Have fun.
Can you edit out the peanut butter explosion?
There was a peanut butter
That
explosion.
needs to go on a loop. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
find
look
it.
at
Really
this.
on you.
Yeah, put it on a loop.
Well,
Put it on loop.
shit. Thank you guys for joining me. I didn't think this would last 2.5 hours, and if I read everything that I had written, we would have been here for 4 hours. So,
I was a little
Worry about
late.
it.
Sorry about that.
no, it's good. I texted you randomly. I tend to just text randomly before doing things. I
Well, you s-
apologize.
You said, what are you doing in an hour? And I'm like, well, in an hour, it was 20 minutes into it. 40 minutes.
Okay,
no,
listen,
right?
don't try to get
After
me with
you asked for
technicalities,
an hour.
you fucking bastard.
Yeah.
Trying to catch me with technicality.
Absolve myself.
I'm dead. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. Thanks everybody who's watching, whether it's on Twitch or Discord. I haven't actually checked either of those in a second. Let's look real quick.
Or in the
There
future.
wasn't anything posted, well, besides Best calling Crispy a boomer, but that's about it.
My DMs have caught on
Look,
fire.
I was using that as an example. I wasn't strictly saying that I am a boomer. I can't remember my exact words. I went off on one of those little crispy rants that you know
Crispy's not a
all know about.
boomer.
Crispy's
I'm
not
a Generation
boomer.
X.
Exactly.
But,
Exactly.
uh,
Big difference. But still,
And
think of the
people want,
boomers.
people want to make 80% of their population only Hapu, so they're basically calling for yes, we're all going to.
oh god.
I already forgot the name again. It was something
Massive
about
loop.
loops.
Okay, funny thing about
My
funny
goodness.
thing about the statistics here.
You are out of the massive loop.
So you're going to be cutting this 10
I was,
minutes off
I
this
was
thing
thinking
you said,
about
didn't you?
infinite loops.
Agent doesn't get to come with because he can't remember the name.
God damn it.
I'm just kidding.
Fruit Loop.
I'm
It's-
just
that's
kidding.
Basically, yeah.
But funny thing, if we took the raiding party from our 24-hour raid and stuck it in there, we would be a very large portion of the population.
Definitely.
Oh man.
Never mind.
I remember when we did
And if you-
CVR and we were like over half the population.
That.
I wish
And I know a
they
few
Yeah.
people that can attest that
I think we
I'm
crashed
a
their worlds,
fantastic
didn't we, by
bug tester
mistake?
because I instantly see flaws everywhere, so.
no. But anyway. What the fuck?
I think we uncovered new things in that platform,
What?
and there was something like 40 hoppers in the same world.
Got a
I
problem?
know, right?
We uncovered new bugs for them.
Dude, that's one platform I wish kind of listened to us. It was cool, but it was just at the time it was all client users and gang members from VRC. Just wasn't our vibe. It's probably better
Refugees.
now. Yeah, they called themselves
Hopefully.
refugees.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid.
But either way, I mean, it's well over a year since I've been over there, so I'm totally out of
Same.
date as to what that platform's like, so
I don't know.
Yeah.
Beats me.
dig out
We
the old
shall
account
see.
and go for and have a look. I have I actually did
could be
make one of
worth
my
it.
avatars usable over there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I sat down one night, learned how to create for an hour, forgot it all again, and got this working in Chill Out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, instant expert.
I was dumb. CVR made me feel dumb. Then I had someone help me, and then I felt even more dumb because of how easy it was, and then not easy it was, and then like, what the fuck? I thought it was easy, then it wasn't, and then I thought, wait, yeah, no, fuck. That was a rough one.
That's pretty much the experience.
But while
I
saying
have
that,
stories, but they're not for broadcast.
yeah. But while saying that, thanks again, everyone, for joining me. To everyone on Twitch and YouTube, thanks for watching. To the 80 million requests I've gotten to join, I'm sorry, but no. And to all the messages I've received over the past 2 hours, I'm sorry, but no. I'll read them later. Jesus. Thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully Massive Loop gets something out of this. Cause
Yeah, Fruity Loops.
Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, that's something else.
hopefully some of what we
Music
said is
creation.
heard or at least seen. And yeah, I think we made some pretty good points, some pretty good questions, and definitely had a little bit of fun. But yeah, thanks again everyone. And I'm gonna go get some food. I'm fucking hungry. I am so fucking
From
hungry.
bedtime?
Not Hyperloop.
No, not
I will
Hyper-
not deal with
That's-
Elon Musk. No,
Please, no.
no.
Not mentioned.
But anyway, let's end this. Thank you guys again. Thank you everyone.
Bye-bye.
And Massive Loop,
Good night.
I don't know. I guess he's gonna whack you.
See you soon.